Yeah, busy morning. Let's start, though, with new developments in the Justice Department investigation into Florida Congressman Matt Gaetz. The New York Times now is reporting the inquiry into Gaetz and former Seminole County tax collector Joel Greenberg is focused on their suspected involvement with multiple women who, it is alleged, were recruited online for sex and received cash payments. That's according to people close to the investigation. Text messages and payment receipts all reviewed by the Times. Three people with knowledge of the alleged encounters told the paper investigators believe Greenberg, who was indicted last year and pled not guilty to a federal sex trafficking charge and other charges, initially met the women through websites that connect people who go on dates in exchange for gifts, fine dining, travel, and allowances. Greenberg then reportedly introduced the women to Congressman Gaetz, who also had sex with them. Messages and interviews show that during encounters in 2019 and 20, Gaetz and Greenberg instructed the women to meet at certain times and places, often at hotels around Florida, and then would tell them the amount of money they were willing to pay. No charges have been brought against Congressman Gaetz, who's denied any wrongdoing and says there is an extortion plot against his family. The extent of his criminal exposure is unclear. In a statement to the Times, the congressman's office said, Matt Gaetz has never paid for sex, and he refutes all the disgusting allegations completely. Meanwhile, multiple sources telling CNN Gaetz allegedly showed photos and videos of nude women he had slept with to other lawmakers, including while on the House floor. There is no indication the pictures are connected to the DOJ investigation. The Daily Beast reports more than a half dozen lawmakers have spoken about Gaetz, claiming a love of alcohol and illegal drugs, as well as alleging a proclivity for younger women. One former Republican staffer said their office had an informal rule to not allow their member to appear next to Gaetz during TV hits, fearful of the inevitable scandal that would come one day. A lot to sift through there. Let's bring in one of the reporters on the New York Times story, Michael Schmidt. He's also an MSNBC national security analyst. Also with us, former U.S. attorney for the Northern District of Alabama and an MSNBC legal analyst, Joyce Vance. Good morning to you both. Mike, let me start with you. This is your story. Bring us up to speed on some of these latest details you're just reporting this morning. Flesh it out. And how much more trouble does this put Mr. Gaetz in?
Look, what we have here today in our story is sort of a deeper understanding of the conduct that was going on. As part of our reporting, we were able to look at some of the receipts. We were able to see some of the communications, the back and forth that was going on, how these women were being paid. They were being paid very, through apps on their phone, through Cash Apps, through Apple Pay. They were not taking great steps to hide these. At times, the Gaetz or Greenberg would go to an ATM in the hotel that they were in. They would often meet these women in hotels. These are details that help us flesh out what the scheme was that was going on here that has been uncovered in this federal investigation. The other thing that we report today is that at least one of Gaetz and Greenberg's associates in Florida state politics, Republican state politics in Florida, has been was linked to this behavior. We don't identify that associate, but it just gives you a sense of how wide and common and widespread this conduct was that is part of this investigation.
All right. Joyce Vance, I'm just curious, as it pertains to the concept, Michael Schmidt just talked about apps being used. I read about Apple Pay. I know there are a lot of lawmakers coming forward talking about his behavior on the House floor, showing pictures of women that he claimed to have slept with, and maybe even some lawmakers pulled him aside, saying we need your conduct to be better on the House floor. But legally, what is he facing here on the concept of women being paid through apps? What are we looking at?
There are a lot of different possibilities for federal criminal exposure for the congressman related to this series of facts. And something that I've heard Mike say before that's very true is that the reporting is likely just the tip of the iceberg. For this to have gone so far and to have become a full-blown federal investigation. There are some reports that the initial tip took place in January of 2020. So this would be a year-long investigation if that pans out. And it's likely that there is a great deal more to back this up. But Mika, you're right to focus on payment. There is a specific statute that criminalizes, particularly when it comes to children and girls, the use of the internet or any sorts of interstate means to entice, to lure girls into this sort of commercial sex trafficking. But there's a whole panoply of federal statutes that are designed to address this. And most importantly, federal prosecutors take these sorts of crimes very seriously.
Mike, one of the questions a lot of people are looking into is whether office money from the congressman's office was used to pay for any of this. First of all, two-parter for you. Was this conduct that the DOJ is looking into all during his time as a congressman? He took office in January of 2017. And second, is there any evidence that congressional money was used to pay for any of this?
So the conduct that we write about today occurred during his time in Congress. He came to Congress in 2017, was elected as a Trump supporter in the 2016 election, and has been there since then. And obviously has been a very, very vocal supporter of the president. So that's where the conduct comes from. Just to pick up on what Joyce was saying, the thing that is one of the biggest focuses of the legal questions in this case or in this investigation is the 17-year-old girl, because that crime of soliciting and paying someone under the age of 18 for sex carries a mandatory minimum of 10 years in prison. And that is obviously a very, very significant legal issue and is a humongous problem for Gaetz. As we report today, they are looking at Gaetz, as we reported in the original story. They're looking at Gaetz for his ties to the 17-year-old, and they're looking at others. Were others connected to this 17-year-old? Who else did this 17-year-old interact with?
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow up on today's top stories and breaking news, or catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.